Chosen one, desire without discipline is weather, impressive, ungovernable, and ultimately indifferent to what it destroys. You carry the other kind. Your sexual energy has become a climate, not a storm. It warms without scorching, invites without conscripting, brightens without blinding. This did not arrive as a gift-wrapped trait. You built it the way strong bridges are built, with measures, with patience, with materials that do not lie when the load increases. The respect that rises to meet you now is not applause for charisma. It is relief at craftsmanship. You began by separating voltage from volume. High charge does not require high noise. You stopped announcing your heat and started arranging the room for it. Chairs where consent is legible. Windows where breath can enter. Lighting that honors faces rather than interrogating them. Timing that blesses endings while tenderness still has breath. In such an architecture, desire ceases to audition. It knows there will be a seat for it when its name is called. Rooms learn that your presence is not a pressure system. It is a design that keeps everyone whole, while intimacy, if chosen, remains holy. Discipline began in the body, because honesty that never reaches the body remains a rumor. You learn to hydrate the voice before the verdict, to count your breath before your reply, to move your limbs before you moved a room, to sleep before you attempted to save anyone. You learned to feed yourself in ways that didn't mortgage tomorrow's patience. You protected the edge of your alertness so it would not sharpen into a blade. These small rituals trained your appetites to remember their job description. Powerful servants, devastating kings. Respect detects this governance in seconds. The body across from you might not phrase it, but it feels the difference between a man who is carried by his urges and a man who carries them. You pledged pacing to your desire. You taught it grammar, a comma for breathing, a period for rest, an ellipsis for wonder allowed to finish forming. You stopped treating no as a problem to solve and started honoring it as an altar to protect. You refused to punish distance or to romanticize urgency. You let longing be a good guest, welcome, vivid, and never in charge of the house. The feminine answers fluently to this cadence. She recognizes on arrival that your invitation requires no debt, that her boundaries are not obstacles to you, but evidence of your worthiness. She brings her full spectrum because none of it will be smuggled into your myth. Respect deepens from admiration to trust. Discipline turned hunger into hospitality. You exchanged the thrill of taking for the craft of keeping. You learned how to leave a moment at its peak so the memory stayed whole. How to end evenings in time for mornings to be merciful. How to bless what did not happen as much as what did. In a culture trained to celebrate conquest and ignore repair, you made repair your signature. When you miss, and you do, because you are human, you mend while the bruise is pale. Not a theater of contrition, not a speech polished like a weapon, just the precise sentence and the matching action that returns balance to the floorboards. Desire that knows how to repair is the only kind worth trusting at scale. You disciplined your focus like a craftsman disciplines tools. Attention is the currency of desire. You stopped spending it on panic and spectacle. You invested it where it multiplies life. When gossip conscripted your ear, you returned it to what could be built. When cruelty disguised itself as banter, you declined the discount laugh and the joke withered without the oxygen of your approval. When your name was bait for a fight, you let accuracy speak at a volume that made fury unemployed. This restraint is not an absence of fire, it is fire put to work. It cooks what should be shared, it warms what should be kept alive. It refuses to burn the house to prove it is hot. Discipline taught you how to distribute credit without losing center. You speak names where labor lived while there is still music. You stop applause before hunger steals from tomorrow. You choose usefulness over spectacle and let outcomes be your argument. This is how desire becomes leadership rather than a liability. It spends itself on conditions under which others can thrive. Men cease auditioning for you and begin contributing. Women cease protecting themselves from you and begin revealing. The room stops being an economy of attention and becomes a workshop for good. There is a private fidelity under all this, vows that no one hears but everyone benefits from. You keep counsel with simple prayers that put appetite back in its right chair. You refuse to make a museum of temptation by staring at it. You walk, you drink water, you touch sunlight, You call a friend before you call an old pattern. You forgive yourself before shame grows teeth. None of this trends. All of it lasts. Discipline like this is rarely praised in public because it is invisible in success. The visible thing is the respect that follows you like shade in summer. The test of disciplined desire is departure. When you leave, does the room behave better or worse? In your wake, endings tend to be on time. Doors tend to close softly, messages tend to be clearer and kinder, and sleep tends to arrive without needing to be negotiated. People wake with fewer refunds to issue to their conscience. They make clean choices at breakfast because midnight was handled with honor. They will not cite you when they decide better. They will simply be grateful that it felt easier. That ease is the inheritance of your governance. Do not be surprised when others try to borrow your discipline without building its foundations. They will ask for the trick, the phrase, the angle. Give them, if they ask, the ordinary truth. Stay hydrated, breathe twice, move daily, sleep honestly, keep your words small and kept, apologize soon, protect the endings, don't spend attention on panic, and let desire be a guest in the house of your values. Some will be disappointed that greatness hides in chores. You will keep doing the chores and remain great. There is a final mercy in disciplined desire. It keeps wonder alive. Because you do not pressure a moment to become legend, legend sometimes appears. Because you do not rush the river, it arrives on time. Because you do not force an answer, a truer one volunteers. Respect recognizes this ease. It knows the difference between men who take and men who tend. This month and the months after it, your tending is the reason rooms behave like places again and not stages. Your discipline is why desire can be trusted to stay. A fire that makes light, a heat that can be home. Chosen one, there is a language older than any alphabet, written in breath and pulse, in the speed of a glance and the angle of a shoulder. The feminine reads this language at the speed of nerve, long before words line up to make their case. She can feel if a room is a harbor or a hunt, if a gaze is a theft or a blessing, if warmth is an invoice or a gift. This month, the language you speak is sanctuary. Your sexual energy, once drafted by culture to impress, has matured into shelter. It does not ask her to shrink to be safe. It invites her to expand because she is. You do not treat radiance as fuel. You treat it as a fire with its own hearth. You do not take her brightness to decorate your myth. You leave it where it belongs and admire the architecture that keeps it whole, her boundaries, her pace, her intelligence about her own timing. You praise the frame, not just the portrait. You let desire remain fluent in the grammar of consent, where every sentence begins with listening and ends where she says it ends. Your attention arrives without an agenda and stays without a contract. And that is why she respects you first with her body's ease and only later with her words. There is a gentleness in you that is not the opposite of strength, but its proof. You do not use softness as a technique for access. You use it as a way of honoring truth. When she speaks, you do not intervene to be useful before you have been present enough to be precise. When she pauses, you do not hurry the silence because silence, in your care, is not a cliff. It is a shoreline where meaning finishes arriving. The respect she gives you is the respect given to a guard who knows the difference between vigilance and surveillance, between holding a perimeter and holding a person. Eyes can become hands when they are untrained. Yours have learned to be windows. They let light in without pulling anything out. They look for strength without idolizing it, for pain without exploiting it, for beauty without requisitioning it. Under a gaze like this, performance becomes too expensive and authenticity finally becomes affordable. The laugh doesn't need to be perfect to land. The tear doesn't need to be disguised as wit to be allowed. Your presence changes the price of honesty, and the market adjusts in her favor. Your heat is visible but governed. It is not absence, it is apprenticeship to something higher. In proximity, she feels the voltage and does not have to pay for it. That is new. For once, she does not have to prepay safety with performance. She does not have to spend a future apology to survive a present evening. She does not have to translate herself into entertainment to hold your attention. The body remembers praise that arrives without purchase. It loosens the jaw, drops the shoulders, brings blood back to the hands. It is not romance to say that biology likes you. It is simply accurate. When danger appears in the room wearing charm, your protection is immediate and calm. You do not answer spectacle with larger spectacle. You subtract the audience first. You move the conversation to a table instead of a stage. You name behavior precisely without renaming the person. You keep the door called repair visible. You say with the authority that mercy lends, this ends here. And it does. She sees you choose proportion over performance and trusts that your strength is loyal to outcomes, not applause. You will not monetize her tenderness. You will not outsource your loneliness to her. You will not rehearse virtue to win proximity you have not earned. You keep your hunger on a leash long enough to train it that love is the house and it is a guest. You keep admiration clean enough that it does not smuggle obligation with it. You keep humor devoted to relief rather than dominance. You keep timelines honest so that what begins has a chance to arrive as itself instead of a poster of itself. These are not slogans. These are the daily custodial acts that make reverence a habit and habit a climate. There are girls in the room and there are women the world made into soldiers. Both watch you. The girls learn what safety feels like before they learn to negotiate it. The soldiers learn what rest feels like before they forget how to stand down. You do not demand either to become a lesson for you. You become a lesson for both. That masculinity can be a canopy, that power can be a patient gardener, that desire can be a disciplined light. She will call you respectful because language needs a quick word for the long list of things you refuse to be. Even when you go, the climate you set continues to work. After you, jokes don't require a casualty to land. Compliments find effort instead of angles. A no is treated as beautiful architecture rather than a barricade. A yes is chosen from fullness rather than negotiated from fear. Women leave the room with more of themselves than they entered with, and the room calls it a good night. That, chosen one, is the highest praise you can hope to receive from the feminine. She was more herself because you were there and because you left well. Keep the unglamorous vows that make this possible. Keep your pace human. Keep your endings on time. Keep your eyes clean. Keep your hands faithful to tone before touch. Keep your appetite downstream from your values. Keep your prayer plain enough that it can be practiced under pressure. You will be respected not as an exception to men, but as an example to them. The difference is subtle and vast. Exceptions get admired. Examples get imitated. This month, you are the latter. Chosen one, there is a particular kind of influence that does not announce itself and yet reorganizes everything it touches. It is not a brand or a banner. It is a standard, the quiet expectation that rises in a room simply because you hold it. This month, men and women are learning from you without permission slips or business cards. They study you in ordinary scenes, the line at a counter, the meeting that wanted to be a courtroom, the doorstep at 11 when kindness still has breath. What they learn is not how to be you. It is how to be themselves with discipline. The standard begins as practice before it becomes culture. You credit the hidden hands while there is still music. You end the night while memory is still whole. You apologize while the bruise is pale. You protect the absent from being redesigned by gossip. You do not recruit spectators for your conflicts. You speak in sentences that fit the size of the break. You carry responsibility to the center and let it be seen without needing a jury to watch your nobility. Repetition turns these acts from behaviors into weather. Under that weather, sharpness becomes precision, shyness becomes courage, cleverness becomes wisdom, and teams begin to behave like families that remember how to be fair. Men read you quickly because respect is a language they want to speak, but often learned only as a salute. They notice that your presence lowers voices without lowering standards. They watch you choose usefulness over theater and discover that results prefer this diet. They see you admire a boundary without punishing the one who set it, and learn that strength can praise the gate even when it is closed. They imitate your early repair and find out that dignity returns faster than pride predicted. They do not always say your name when they adopt these customs. They don't need to. Standards work best when they are borrowed. Women learn from you too, and their learning sounds like relief. They watch how you arrange the room, how your energy furnishes space instead of flooding it, and they allow their bodies to believe what they felt. That respect is not a costume, but a climate. They watch the way your eyes return what they see instead of harvesting it, and they stop guarding every sentence with a joke. They watch your no arrive clean and your yes arrive paid, and they begin to measure invitations by these scales. In your wake, they do not wake up with refunds to issue to their souls. They call this peace. Peace is an excellent teacher. You are a standard in conflict because you refuse the currency that keeps conflict profitable. You withdraw attention from spectacle, invest it in accuracy, and keep mercy on retainer. This happened, this stops, this is repaired, this remains good. Simpler language than pride prefers, and more effective. New customs grow out of this economy. People disagree without downgrading each other's humanity. Meetings stay about the work. Time stops being a hostage of ego. A room that has fought well is a room that can trust itself. Trust is respect that has learned to stand. You are a standard in endings because you end like a steward, not a star. You leave early enough to keep tomorrow solvent. You close doors as if houses had nerves. You send the one message that blesses what was possible instead of stretching it into legend. Without saying anything, you teach that good nights are an act of leadership. People sleep earlier. They wake kinder. They make choices at breakfast that don't require emergency speeches at noon. No one links the ease to you explicitly, and that is correct. Standards are most powerful when they disappear into muscle memory. You are a standard in desire because you keep desire on the clock. Your sexual energy is the local climate in which consent never has to shout. It exists at a temperature that lets wonder breathe and decisions think. You do not market your heat, you manage it. You do not buy closeness on credit and call the debt romance. You let longing be vivid and not in charge. In a culture that confuses pressure with passion, this is radical. People learn by proximity that intensity without stewardship is just fire in a dry field. With stewardship, the same flame warms a house. What they will copy is not your voltage, it is your governance. You become a standard in humor because you refuse the cheap laugh that costs a person. You aim humor at knots, not faces. You let laughter release pressure without puncturing dignity. In your orbit, teasing grows kind or grows quiet. The room remembers that levity is not dominance in disguise. The child who watches you will imitate this first. Years from now, they will be the adult who can make a room light without making anyone smaller. And they will never know they learned it from a man who refused to invoice people for their joy. The test of any standard is absence. When you are gone, does the temperature stay human? Do doors close softly? Do no's remain clean and yeses arrive paid? Does credit travel before resentment grows teeth? Are endings still on time? If the answer is yes, that is not evidence that you were unnecessary. It is evidence that you were successful. You taught the room how to behave like a place again instead of a stage. You replaced panic with sequence, spectacle with proportion, appetite with stewardship. People who keep the standard after you go are paying you the only respect that matters. They are letting goodness survive without your supervision. There will be attempts to turn your standard into a slogan because slogans sell. Decline the costume. Keep the scale human. Share the practices freely and expect no royalties. If someone insists on a secret, give them something ordinary and exact. Be on time, leave on time. Hydrate, breathe twice, move daily, credit by name, apologize early, set your boundaries smiling, let truth travel at a walk, and put repair ahead of reputation. Standards live in small rooms. They grow when those rooms grow more honest. Walk on, chosen one, with your standard held like a lantern instead of a sword. Let others see their own hands, their own tools, their own routes home. Let your influence be measured not by the size of your shadow, but by the number of people who no longer need it. Respect that arrives this way does not rust. It turns into custom. And custom turns into a gentler world that remembers you without having to say why. Chosen one, the rarest teachers do not hold chalk, they hold themselves. They do not point to rules, they become reasons. You have entered that quiet syllabus. You step into ordinary scenes, and the room studies you without roll call. People copy your breath before they copy your words. They adjust their tone to match your temperature. They choose proportion because you make it look like relief. Respect gathers not because you insist on being followed, but because your way is easier on the soul than the alternatives. You mentor timing with your body. You arrive prepared and on time, not to be impressive, but to keep faith with those who prepared for you. You end before goodness is exhausted, not to be strict, but to protect the next day from becoming collateral. After a while, hours that used to sprint begin to walk. The colleague who relied on spectacle tries precision and discovers it works. The friend who hoarded the last word leaves a clean silence and sleeps better. The child who watches you close a door softly decides that gentleness must be how adults treat the world. No lesson plan could have done what your pace did. You teach appetite how to live indoors. Your sexual energy does not advertise, it arranges. Without fanfare, you set conditions where consent is legible, where admiration has no invoice, where curiosity does not trespass, where no remains a beautiful word. Bodies stop bracing because there is nothing hunting them in your gaze. Women become more vivid instead of smaller. Men become more useful instead of louder. The room discovers that dignity is cheaper than performance when heat is stewarded. That discovery spreads like a rumor people hope is true. You correct without humiliating. When conflict arrives in costume, you remove the audience first. You give the problem a table instead of a stage. You name what happened in sentences the size of the damage, and you show how to mend without demanding a parade for your nobility. Spectacle starves, repair eats. Watching you, others learn that adulthood is not thunder but sequence. Identify, constrain, repair, bless. They begin to practice it in your absence, and culture, quietly, stubbornly, changes its mind about what strength sounds like. You distribute credit as if rain had your last name. You speak the hidden hands while there is still music. You let praise land where labor lived. The one who always cleaned up after everyone else is called to the center while there is still light. People stand taller without hardening. Resentment shrinks for lack of food. Imitators appear, not of your mannerisms, but of your fairness. Fairness makes rooms generous. Generosity makes rooms brave. Bravery makes rooms honest. The class you teach is called integrity, and the tuition is paid in repetitions no one sees. Even your humor carries instruction. You refuse to buy a laugh with someone's face. You aim jokes at the knot, not the person tangled in it. Relief arrives without collateral damage. Shoulders lower, lungs cooperate, and decisions stop needing adrenaline to feel real. Those who thought comedy was a weapon learn it is a key. Those who feared attention learn it can be shared without debt. Later, they will repeat something you said and fail to nail the cadence, and it will not matter. What will endure is the discipline to be kind while being light. You model boundaries that do not punish. Your yes arrives paid in advance. Your no arrives like a fence that can be seen by daylight, with a gate and a sign, not a moat disguised as wisdom. People walk away from your limits uninjured because your limits are not vanity projects. They are architecture. Architecture invites imitation. The chronic accommodator learns to keep shape without apology. The chronic tester stops testing because there is nothing to win in a house that refuses to play tug-of-war with its own beams. Your rituals, the unglamorous ones, do more than pep talks ever can. You drink water before you opine, so your patience has material to burn. You count breath before you reply, so your tone stays human when truth must be carried. You move your body so feelings stay in motion and never become managers. You sleep so your edge does not turn into a blade. You pray in plain language so appetite remembers it is a servant, not a king. These chores are the lever and fulcrum that move rooms. People don't praise them. They live better because of them and never locate the cause. That is teaching at its cleanest. You leave like a benediction. No ghosting, no spectacle. You bless what happened with one precise word and close the door as if the house had nerves. Mornings in places you have been arrive uninjured. Emails are shorter and kinder. Plans are nearer and truer. Children are put to bed on time without needing a courtroom. Nobody drafts a thank you speech to you. They simply keep the customs your presence made easy. This is why respect remains after you go. You did not ask to be remembered. You taught the room how to remember itself. And when someone asks for your secret, you do not hand them an angle, you hand them a life. You say, become strong where no one claps. Keep promises small enough to keep. Repair while the bruise is pale. Protect the absent. Let desire be a guest in the house of your values. End while tenderness still has breath. They will frown because the answer is ordinary. Then they will try it, and then they will understand why your energy teaches without a microphone. Chosen one, kingship has been counterfeited so often that people forgot the original currency. The copy trades in ceremony, titles, noise, and the exhausting maintenance of image. The real thing trades in stewardship. It builds a world where goodness can repeat without supervision, where truth does not need a drumline, where endings bless beginnings instead of stealing from them. You have moved into that quiet sovereignty. The respect you carry now is not borrowed from costume, it is minted by custody. Your authority is not a throne, it is a chair you offer. You sit last, listen first, and make sure every voice has a path to the table that does not require a performance fee. When the decision finally arrives, it arrives at human temperature. You speak it in a way that people can carry without hurting themselves. You do not sell compliance with charisma. You make agreement the most reasonable choice available. Rooms you govern do not feel conscripted. They feel coherent. That coherence is respect's favorite proof. You keep wealth where it matters, in clean endings, whole mornings, honest credit, repaired bridges, and appetites that know their place. You refuse the shiny debt of one more laugh, one more hour, one more victory that will overcharge the soul tomorrow. You leave while sweetness still has breath and call it leadership. The night remains intact, and so do the people. They will not link this mercy to you out loud. They will simply show up rested, and rested people are kinder. Kindness that survives into noon is a sign a king passed through. Your sexual energy under kingship is the least advertised thing about you and the most trusted. It does not seek to be proven, it seeks to be worthy. It makes a climate in which consent never has to raise its voice, in which admiration is never tax, in which boundaries are recognized as beautiful architecture. You could convert your voltage into influence cheaply. You do not. You keep it in service to meaning. The feminine responds by becoming more herself without negotiating safety. The masculine responds by standing up straight without needing an audience. A crown would only dim what this weather reveals. You treat praise like weather, pleasant when it comes, not a place to live. You treat critique like a tool, sharp, useful, not a weapon to point at your own identity. Your steadiness keeps the story from swallowing the work. People tell what improved, rather than what you demanded they say about you. The myth stays human-sized because you refuse to become more important than the outcomes you serve. In that refusal lies the paradox of respect. The less you require the spotlight, the more the light finds your decisions and not your silhouette. You govern conflict like a farmer, not a general. You do not salt the earth to win a season. You rotate crops, you prune, you pull weeds while they are small. You say, this behavior ends here, this repair begins now. This dignity remains non-negotiable. You trade spectacle for sequence, vengeance for maintenance, victory for continuity. A year later, people harvesting peace will not remember the meeting where you kept your voice low and your terms clear. They will only know the soil took seed. Kingship is comfortable with being forgotten when fruit is remembered. Your crown is invisible and heavy with small medals. The soft door, the early apology, the named contributor, the declined gossip, the meal eaten before a hard conversation, the walk that saved an evening from turning into a statement, the text unsent because silence was the truer answer, the laugh that loosened a knot without costing a face. You polish these not because anyone checks, but because you check. Sovereignty begins where no one is clapping. You plan succession by design, not declaration. Rooms you touch keep behaving after you leave. The temperature stays human. Credit keeps traveling. Boundaries remain clean. Laughter stays kind. Endings are on time. This is not evidence that you were unnecessary. It is proof that you were successful. A king who needs to stand in every room for goodness to continue is just a celebrity. You are building customs, not dependence. Customs outlive crowns. Temptation will arrive dressed as scale. It will offer you slogans and shortcuts, merchandise and myth. It will ask you to trade the craft for the campaign. Decline with a smile. Keep the scale human. Share tools rather than trademarks. When someone insists on the secret, give them the same plain mathematics that shaped you. Be punctual, be present, be proportionate, be patient, be precise, be kind, be finished. None of this is glamorous. All of it is royal. There is an ease to your walk now that does not come from being unchallenged. It comes from being unconflicted. You are aligned with what you serve. You do not sell your peace to buy approval. You do not rent your attention to panic. You do not hire appetite as a strategist. You do not let reputation set your calendar. You choose the long, boring miracle of staying faithful to what works. People sense this and organize themselves accordingly. They give you the kind of respect that does not need to be performed because it is already practiced. When you depart, you do not vanish, you leave. There is a difference. Vanishing makes wounds, leaving makes room. You look once more around the space, not to collect praise, but to bless what remains. You exit with a soft latch and a kept promise. Tomorrow walks in unstartled. Decisions feel lighter.